guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review on the Null Knives Raiden. So this is a cool knife that I was sent in. It is a prototype. The pre-order is over, so I do apologize to anybody who sees this and says, damn, I really want one of those. How do I get one, Kev? When's the pre-order? Where do I pick it up? I am very sorry. You cannot right now. Excuse me. I am hopeful that he ordered extra or has extra, and there will be some available after the pre-order ship. I can almost guarantee you there will be a drop after that happens, because there usually is. Whether people back out on the pre-order or, you know, he just ordered extra, which is smart to do. So there you go. I just want to mention that up front so nobody gets pissed off. But you guys know my channel. I show knives all the time that are not available. So I do have the sheet up here that shows the changes. I did ask for that because I like to have that information for you guys. Let me make the zoom a little bigger so my shitty eyes can see this. There we go. All right. So let's start off with the changes so you guys know everything up front and see if anything I mentioned in the unboxing is touched on here. So he says he wanted to note some revisions he'll be making after handling the initial prototypes. Overall, I am very pleased with how they turned out, and my manufacturer, aka Riot, I believe he can't tell you that it's Riot because of the price. Riot would want him to sell this for probably like $350 if he got to use their name. A lot of times, guys, that's why you see a Riot-made knife and the price tag that it is. It's because Riot is forcing that price tag, which it does help the maker make more money. But a lot of times they don't want to charge that much, but they want to say it's Riot, so they have to play the rules with Riot and charge that much. In this case, I think he charged like $280 for these on pre-order, which is insane for a Riot-made knife. And that's because he's not allowed to say it's made by Riot. He just says the manufacturer, because trust me, if he could, he'd be telling the world that it's made by Riot. But we all know anyway, so it doesn't matter. How do I know? Because I can tell. I can tell by the fit, the finish, by the screws. I can tell by a lot of things that this is made by Riot. Also, I've just heard it somewhere. I don't know. It wasn't from him, obviously, but somebody else must have mentioned it in a review, but it's quite obviously made by Riot. So, you know, he kind of gets the best of both worlds on this one. Anyway, fit and finish is top-notch. Action is solid, engaging, and smooth. Below are a few small changes I will be making for the production. Thumb studs. Currently, let's zoom in on these bad boys. Currently, the studs, while fully functional, can cause some fatigue with repeated and continuous use, aka us fidgety motherfuckers be jacking up our thumbs. I actually have no issue with these thumb studs. Could be because my thumbs are already jacked up. I am obviously not the prime example for what you're looking for here. You can see my thumbs are disgusting. I apologize for making you see that. But what he's doing is increasing the diameter of the stud by 1 millimeter and decreasing the angle of taper for more surface contact. So basically, he's taking this stud, and it looks like he's shrinking it down a little bit. He's making it more of a pyramid. I'll soften the edges a bit as well. The image below shows the new thumb stud highlighted in blue. This change should ultimately increase comfort and long-term use. It kind of looks more like a CRK stud now, but I don't think it'll turn out that way. I'll be honest, I actually really like these studs. So that change to me is unnecessary, but I think I'm probably in the minority. Again, thumbs are just so jacked up, I could flick anything at this point and it wouldn't hurt, except for a CRK, because that hurts after a while. So it's just being shrunk down a little bit. Like absolutely a micrometer shrink down, like shorter, and then it's going to be a little bit of a more stepped sort of pyramid style. I think it'll be fine. I would worry a little bit about how tall they are if they're going to be shorter, but I think it'll be fine. Jimping. So the jimping pattern on the spine of the blade will be tightened and deepened for greater grip. So here's your jimping, which I'm not a big jimping guy to begin with, but if it's good, it's good. Yeah, this jimping is kind of unnecessary. I don't know what I said in my unboxing, but it's not very rough. It's not very, it's just there kind of aesthetically, sort of. So it's going to become real jimping, which is kind of cool. So that's cool. Let's see. Anything else? Weight reduction. I'll be adding some additional cutouts, pockets in the backspacer surrounding area to balance out the knife a little bit better. Should shave a few grams off the back end and bring the balance point closer to the pivot. So, I don't know if somebody complained about the balance point, but let's see. Oh, yeah. See, the balance point is like almost halfway down the handle. That does not bother me in the least. I mean, you hold the knife and it just feels like a knife. I don't know. Why would you need the... I don't know. Anyway, if he wants to make the knife lighter, I'm good with that because I like lighter. So, no big deal. The clip. The tip of the clip will be rounded slightly. So, yeah, I mentioned this in my unboxing. This feels a little pokey. I honestly don't like how it cants off to that side. I wish it would just be kind of like... I wish it would just end like right here, But anyway, that's going to be rounded a little bit. It almost looks like somebody did that to this already. I could be crazy, but no, because it's kind of sharp. So that's going to be chamfered a little bit, rounded. Detent ramp. Oh, no. Let's go back. The size of the choil will be increased. That, I guess, would be this. Size of the choil will be increased by 1.5 millimeter to provide a little more room for choking up. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't even look at it as a choil. I think I said that in the unboxing. So it would be nice if this is bigger, then I could choke up here. But I don't know, 1.5 millimeters isn't a lot. But, I mean, we'll see. But it's good that he thought of that. Detent ramp. The depth and angle of the ramp will be reduced slightly. Okay, so I don't know what that will do, but I did say in the unboxing that it was another unnecessary ramp. I was hoping the note there was going to say he was getting rid of it. But that's okay. So... basically, I don't like the detent ball ramp because it just causes that issue right there where it can ramp back up. Maybe what he's doing will fix that, but I just don't think it's necessary on a knife like this. There's no flipper tab, so you push over, it's going to just drop. Like, if the break is right here, normally, why make it worse by having it break here now? That's where it falls off the ramp. And it's just like, So anyway, that's a personal thing for me, mostly being lefty because of this. That's what happens all the time with a detent ball ramp. So, and then I got to get it to there to start shaking. And so, just lefty things. All right, so let's get into the review. Aesthetics, nailed it. 100% just knocked out of the park. Excuse me, going to sip my seltzer. Knocked out of the park on the aesthetics. It's got the name Raiden. It looks like a lightning strike. I think Raiden is the thunder god of the samurais or something like that. You got that little touch right here, right here, right here, right here. Just looks really cool right here. Absolutely nailed it on the aesthetics. It's gorgeous. Also, in the unboxing, I was wrong. This is an acid wash, not a black wash, and it is pretty obvious now. But I don't know what I was smoking in that unboxing, so there you go. Yeah, aesthetically, it's just fantabulous. I really, really like it. And yeah, that's pretty much the aesthetics, right? Again, I mentioned the clip. Don't love the shape of it, but whatever. Ergos. So, another thing we talked about, he's adding that choil, so that's going to help, I think, a lot. But my two issues with the Ergos, where it is a comfortable knife, very functional. I think it's going to be a great EDC knife, guys. I don't think you're going to have any issues with that. Now, I don't think you could really use it. You could obviously use it for harder use, but who's going to do that with this, But if you do, you might run into some issues like this right here. For me personally, there's two things on this knife that kind of hurt it. My finger lands right on top of that, so it just kind of like ergonomically does not feel good when my ring finger is just like crushing down on that corner. And then my thumb lands right there on the poon, right? So those two things together obviously create hot spots. But again, you're not going to be doing heavy use with this guy. So if you're just doing normal cutting stuff, you're not going to bear down enough for either of those things to, bother you. And if you're cutting cardboard, I don't know, it could hurt to have your finger here because it is a little bit pokey there. It's not really sharp, but it's a little bit pokey there. I don't know. That's just a couple things I noticed. I think overall, it's a comfortable knife. It's not the most comfortable knife ever, but you can tell he did sacrifice some ergonomics for aesthetics, right? I mean, that was kind of the idea here, it seems like. So he knows that that's going to be the case, and I think he made that choice willingly. So with all that said, the ergos are comfortable enough. They're good. So there's that. Okay. Cutting. So I did not cut much with this just because it's a prototype, not mine. All of those things. With that said, it is razor sharp. It cuts paper extremely well. It cut, the one thing of cardboard I cut with it extremely well. Cuts into packages really well. I tried to use it on shipping labels, kind of my test, so to speak, and it wasn't great because it's, basically a drop point. And it's a, relatively high tip for that. And it just, when I get into the cut for the shipping label, I'm either ending up with the belly there and then I'm kind of zigzagging around, or I just don't go deep enough. So, not the best utility cutter, but gonna work just fine for all your EDC needs. It'll get into the package, slice it open, all that stuff. So, me personally, I prefer a sheep's foot, a Warney, something with a low tip, but this is honestly fine. This is kind of the high end of fine for me. A tip any higher and I'm out. But this would work for me every day. I'd be able to carry this every day and not complain about it. So, yeah. Anyway, I think the cutting is fine on this guy. I think you have a pretty thin edge. Now, a hollow grind would have been nice, I think. I think a hollow grind would have worked on this, too. You'd have from here down, you get a really nice hollow going. I think it would have worked really well. But he went with a flat grind, and it works. It's pretty thin down there. It's not super thin, but it's good, right? And I'm not the cutting expert, so go check out somebody else's review if you want the full details on cutting. Stasa did a video on this knife, and I think Neves did a video on this knife. So those two guys will give you a better idea. Carry. So I didn't love the clip. Now, it did actually function pretty fine. I was a little worried that this relief cut would get in the way a little bit, and it does a little bit, but it's really not a big deal. He is knocking this corner down, so that is taken care of. But other than that, I mean, it carries fine. It carries well. It just sits in pocket. Carried it back left pocket. I had no issues with it tilting or rocking. It's not super heavy, and it's actually going to get lighter. And the clip works good. I wouldn't say it's great, but the clip works good, and that's pretty much what you're looking for on a milled clip. You just don't want bad. You know what I mean? Sounds. All right, so this is one of those cases where, like the Luft Concepts Avant prototype, I really, really hope that the production version sounds as good as the prototype. This is one of the best deploying knives I've honestly ever handled. That sound is addicting, guys. Like I said in my unboxing, this is the sound of Will Smith bitch slapping Chris Rock in the face. That's what it sounds like to me. It's just really aggressive, like in a good way. It just whips out, man. And I'm not doing anything special. Like, I'm just pushing it. The detent is dialed, guys. Can I fail it? Yeah, but my thumb kind of bit in there. Let's just try to... Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to fail this. Yeah, that detent is stout, guys. I mean, if you compare this to almost any other... Let me grab one. I have one here. I'm selling this for my buddy. This is the Brian Brown Knives Raptor, which is very comparable, I think. So it's a good one to have on the table next to it. So let's look at these. You can already hear the difference. So these are going to be about the same size. Very, very similar knives. I didn't even think of that. Look at that. You got the Raptor and the Raiden, right? Now, when it comes to that detent on this knife, it's just not as strong. The one I had was even lighter, but see how it just snaps in there a little bit? I can easily break detent, fail. Break detent, fail. Where on this guy, I mean, you listen to this, you can tell right away. I mean, listen to that. Snap. Come on. And then break detent, shoots out, locks up. Break detent, shoots out, locks up. So it's just, I mean, it just thunders out. Like, and this knife is good. I actually really, really like this knife. But would I prefer it to have a detent like this one? Hells to the yeah. Is that my favorite part about this knife? Yes. So sounds, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I rarely give a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's just, it makes me want to clap somebody. Just makes me want to go to the Oscars and what-da! Just give it to Chris Rock. All right. So there you go. Sounds fantastic. Action. So here's your centering, by the way. Dead nuts. I did adjust this, I think, in the unboxing because it was loose. We just talked about detent. It's fantastic. This has not walked at all since that unboxing. Drops, shakedown. Now, I can almost guarantee you, if I threw some skifferoons in here, this thing would be singing even better. It is very smooth. You can hear that acid wash. That's what that is. That's the acid wash on that detent ball. And I can tell you right now, this probably sounded 3 times as bad when it first came. It's smoothed out a lot, and it's just getting better and better. The more you use this knife, the better it's going to get. But it's super smooth, and then you have 0 pivot lash, even on these stock bearings. I'm assuming they're stock bearings because I'm the only maniac who swaps out a prototype's bearings. And then look at that. It's not a dropper. It's not a dropper. You could probably tune it to be, but then you're going to have a little bit of play. But look at that. Super smooth, shake down. You can easily flick, drop, boom. Flick, drop, boom. And again, skifferoons. I bet you on the production version it's going to be even better. All right, so the action's great. Left-handed. Thumb flick, you can do. Reverse flick, you can do. You just got to get down lower. If you climb up here, it's not going to happen. That's one reason I would not pre-order this knife or buy one, is just because of that. I mean, I'm a lefty and I want a reverse flick, so I don't want to have to adjust to reverse flick, where a knife like the Nimble here, I can just flick. My natural position. So you ready here? Let's do a test. Pick up and flick. Can't do it. Pick up and flick. Boom. Right? Another example. The Rosie here. Right? Pick up and flick. Boom. Flicks. So this one, it's just my natural positioning is right here. And I can't get it. I have to go just a smidgen lower. And for me, personally, that's just, you know, it's a deal breaker for me. But that doesn't make the knife bad or anything. It's just me being very preferential and left-handed. You know what I mean? A lot of lefties, there's another size comparison for you. 3.1, 3.1. A lot of lefties do not care about that kind of stuff. They'll adjust a little bit for the knife because they really like it. And I really do like the aesthetic of this knife. I just have so many knives that... And I'm not a thumb stud guy. And that was problem number 2. I don't know what adjusting the detent ball ramp will do, but it might take care of that issue where it kicks back like that. It just wants to ride back all the way back up unless you get to here. And as a lefty, that just kind of sucks, you know. You want to pass the brake immediately and be able to shake it down. For example, here's the Devo Knife Stout. This does not have a detent ball ramp. Break, so unlock it, break detent right there, and it drops. None of that detent ball ramp nonsense going on. Right-handed, that's the detent ball right there. Drop, boom. So you're going to just push the lock bar, boom. Push the lock bar, boom. Whereas on this, you have to deal with that ramp. So if you don't get past that ramp, you end up shaking it back up. Where you could just pass it and shake down. And if you didn't have the ramp, it would have a clean break. So I think what happens is people have a later detent. And so maybe his detent's later, like it's here. So instead of, like, I don't know what you could do. Like, could you make the detent earlier somehow? I don't know how that works, right? But what they do is, oh, I got a late detent, so let me just add a ramp. And then you end up having that issue where you got to go through all that till you pass it. Where I think it's better just have a clean break where it is. And then since it has no flipper tab or anything, nothing's stopping it from just passing right through. Right? And on the Stout here, the detent breaks real early. I mean, it's right there. It's already on the detent in there. You can see it's a pretty stiff break. I have to give it a little bit to get past it because it's not a ramp. It's just breaking the detent. It's literally the detent ball jumping onto the tang, right? And it has to pop over that. So let's see if I can show you that somehow. Let's see. You see the detent ball? I have to literally pop the tang over top of it. And that's breaking the detent. And that is where it hits the ball and it has to pass that. So here's locked up. And then it gets to that ball right here. And that is where you are right there. Breaks. And now right there you're past it. And now you can just shake down. On this knife, you have your detent ball. And you have a ramp. So basically there's a slot. Let me see if I can show you. There's a slot. See that kind of like semi kind of moon shaped thing there? On this knife, you won't see that. You'll just see a straight tang. On this, it's kind of curved in a little bit, and that's the ramp. So when you disengage, the ball kind of climbs into that ramp instead of having to break completely over the top of a ball, right? Instead of having to climb and get a clean break over that because it's a solid surface, you have that half moon to kind of help the ball guide onto the ramp. But when you have that ramp, the ball has to get on and off the ramp because then it has to climb off the ramp and stay onto the blade. So here is where the ramp starts, right there, and it climbs. And where does it break off? So that's where it's climbing on, right there. Right there. It's a very good ramp because it's hard to tell. But it seems like right there is where it drops off. There. And then you can shake it down. So my thinking is, had there not been a ramp at all, it would break, what, right here? Is that where it would break? Yeah, that is pretty late. Let me zoom out. That's where it would break if there wasn't a ramp. You can see that compared to the Stout here. There's where it breaks on the Stout. You see the angle there? It's a very good angle on this knife. So you don't need a ramp because you're right over it there and you close. Where on this guy, you're all the way down here. So you have to get past that for the knife to now drop down. But even with no flipper tab, I think that's fine because you would just, right there, you're past it. So as long as you're past it by the time it hits your nail or whatever, like even if I went up high, I'm past it there. So I just don't think this knife needed a detent ball ramp because it causes, what happens with that ramp is if you don't get past it, then it wants to kick back because it rides the ramp back up, boom, right? And left-handed, that sucks because it kicks back like that. You have to get all the way to here past the ramp to shake it down. Where I think if there wasn't one, where were we? right here is where it starts to break. As a lefty, you would just have to get to there, and then you could shake it down. But now you can't because of that ramp, and it wants to keep going. You have to give it a real good shake to get it past. So it's just a lot more work to get it. I don't know. I'm crazy about detent ball ramps. I just think they're not necessarily necessary a lot of times. Let me put away the stout. This isn't about the stout. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's just a little education on detent ball ramps. It sounds like he's updating it, so I think he's making it a little better. So anyway, if you're right-handed, I don't think it makes much of a difference at all. If you're left-handed, you probably know what I'm talking about anyway, so I'm going to shut up now. Overall, this knife is fan-flippin-tastic. It is made extremely well. The price point, from what I think I know of the price being around $280, is absolutely wonderful. The fit and finish is quality. One other little detail is there's knurling on the pivot on both sides. So if you're getting into like a pinch grip, you can get a real good grip on that. It's just kind of a unique sort of thing. One other thing I'd note is lock bar access. It's fine. I wouldn't mind if this was just cut back ever so slightly more. I don't think it would have hurt. It looks like they maybe cut it out just a little bit here. But if they just brought this back a little bit more, I think it would have been nice. You do kind of have to use the corner of your finger a little bit. But that's nitpicking, you know. The backspacer is wonderful. Overall, this knife is fantastic. If you're into studs, I think this is a winner. I think it's fantabulous. It's not going to be a hard user. It's definitely going to be more of a looker and a fidgety knife that can do EDC tasks, right? And it's going to do that excellently. I cannot wait to see what Null Knives does next. I'm really excited to see that. Yeah, that's it, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments. Did you get one? Are you planning to try to fight and get one if there's a drop, you know? Let me know. I love you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Null Knives for letting me check this out. It means a lot that people care what I think. So anyway, have a great day, guys. I love you all, and I will catch you later.